Hey, I'm Mark. Thanks for tuning in to Oz Homestead. What I got going on today is I'm using my chainsaw and I'm getting rid of a bunch of trees and stuff that I don't want in these paddocks that I used to have my pigs in. So I'm going to show you how I use the pigs to clear out the area underneath all these trees and all the brush and such. And then what I do is I come through with my chainsaw, cut everything I don't want, leave the trees that I do want to make a really nice paddock for the future. And then I take my tractor and I get on through and I take everything out that I need to. So stay tuned. It's going to be a pretty cool, informative video if you're a homesteader or a beginner farmer, or you want to get into pigs and use them for cool stuff like this. So stay tuned. All right, so let's talk about this tree here and whether or not we should keep it or take it out. Now, what this is a maple tree. And while maple trees have a lot of value when it comes to firewood, as well as, you know, maple syrup and all that, and you can see it's got the whole Canadian flag looking leaf here. And it's just not something that we would want in our paddock with our pigs or whatever farm animals we're going to use. Yeah, they provide shade and stuff like that in the summertime, but we also already have trees here that can do that for us, and they produce something like nuts, acorns, whatever. So we're going to take this tree out. Now, when it comes to the stump of that tree, what we want to do, we already had the pigs in here, and so you can see that they've already kind of removed some of the soil around the bottom of this tree here. I'm just pushing it away a little bit more, but it would have been a lot higher. There would have been a lot of growth under here, but since the pigs were in here, they rooted up and they kind of killed off all that stuff. So it allows you to take the chainsaw and get as low as possible on these stumps here, because I do have a stump grinder, but it's very tedious to get to every single stump. So as long as I can cut this flat and low, I can still bush hog this area and maintain it, and this will eventually die out and rot away, and it'll be easier to either just, you know, get it out with the bucket of my tractor, or pull it out by hand, or burn it, or whatever the case may be in the future. But it's just not something that we really need to fully get rid of right now. So the pigs have removed a lot of this stuff underneath. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this at the lowest possible area I can, so I can drive my tractor over it. I don't want to make it sharp or anything like that to damage any of the tires or trip on it. That's what we're going to do now. So these trees behind me here are holly trees. They're an evergreen. So what that means is they actually have their leaves year round. Even in the wintertime when it's super cold, they have leaves. So they still provide shade, rain, and weather coverage for the animals. Now, what I like to do is I do keep some of these in my paddocks simply because of the value they have year round with providing shade and shelter and everything. So if I have a patch of 2 together, I'll keep those together, but then I'll kind of eliminate some of the other ones because we have so many of them. Now, what I do also is I trim the branches to about 5 to 6 feet so that I can see for a long distance in the woods. I don't have anything obstructing my vision, so I can see if my animals get out, or I can see if there's predators and all that kind of stuff. So it just gives you a better field of view. So that's what I like to do, is even if I do keep trees in here, I like to kind of have like 5 to 6 foot cleared down so I can see a lot better, have better visual of my property and my animals and everything. So we're going to keep these ones, but if we see some other ones, we're going to decide whether or not we're going to take them. So give you an example here. This one, this holly tree was right here, which is probably, you know, 8 feet from the other ones. So that's too close together. So I went ahead and I took this one out as well. All right, we're gonna continue on and look at some other trees that we want to keep and take out. This here is a tulip poplar. So a poplar tree grows nice and long. It's the lightest of the hardwoods. So it's a hardwood, but it's not really a hardwood. They're not really good for firewood. They're really good for if you have a sawmill and you can make boards and stuff out of them, but I don't have a sawmill and I'm not going to use this for firewood. They don't really provide anything other than shade in the summertime for the animals, and so I just decided to just take it out. That'll kind of give me more area to get my tractor through here, plant seed, just more area to kind of do stuff with. So I went ahead and I decided to take this one out. Interesting thing, I chopped this down yesterday and there's already just a whole mess of ants interested in the sap and everything. I think that's pretty cool. On both ends, we got them up here and then on the log itself. Kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this down as low as I can, and then later on today I'll get the tractor in here and get rid of the actual branches and the rest of the tree. It's a little windy today, but here's another poplar tree. This one's not too big. This is probably the last big tree I'm going to take down, and we don't need this one. We've got a couple oak trees and stuff. We got a nice beautiful dogwood right there as well. That's the Virginia state tree, so we want to keep that one, but let's get rid of this poplar. Interestingly enough, I actually do have a use for these poplar trees that we have here on this property, and that's to build a log cabin. So I'm going to start, actually, as of now, start compiling any of these poplar trees that I take down, takes a good amount of those logs, stack them up, and then I'll debark them down the road, and then I'll put out a video of me building a log cabin using poplar. I actually asked my buddy who does like historical renovation. He works for the US government, and he actually like fixes up old historic buildings. He straight up built cabins out of poplar and stuff like that. It was actually very common in Appalachia. So I got kind of somebody I can reach back to and ask certain questions, so I think it's actually going to turn out pretty good. I have high hopes. So we're going to start compiling those poplar logs, and I'm going to grab the tractor and we're going to clean all this area up, and we'll see what it looks like when we're done. So anytime you're dealing with pigs and you have a water system, you can see where I had my 55-gallon waterer. The pigs are going to actually get all that water, a good amount of that water, out of that barrel, and they're going to make what's a wallow. They'll make it themselves almost every time, no matter what, and they'll actually dig out an area so that they can bathe and stuff like that and actually get mud on them. It acts as sunscreen and kind of keeps them cool. And so what you're going to want to do is, once you move the pigs off of this and you're cleaning it up and everything, we're going to want to fill that in. So let's go get the bucket on the tractor and let's fill this up so nobody slips, falls, and hurts themselves. So that's really just how I do it. I have the pigs in there, move them off, come in, and I take everything out with the chainsaw and move it with the tractor and let the seed grow in and just keep managing it over time. So that grass seed, when it grows in, looks like this. So it's grown in, and that's where the pigs are at now. So you can see where they've kind of torn it back up again. They're sleeping actually way down there in their house. I got some of those big poplar trees out of here. I'll burn those in a couple of months when they dry out. So like I said, you should subscribe because I'm going to be building a log cabin pretty soon. So I'm starting to compile a lot of the big poplar trees that are nice and straight that I can use to build like a 12 by 16 foot cabin on the back of the property. So that'll be pretty cool. Again, I don't know when I'm gonna have time for it, so I'm just gonna kind of keep working on that. I also have a hunting video right now in the make. I've been out a few times bow hunting, got some pretty good footage of the deer coming in. So you'll see if I end up getting one. That'll be pretty cool. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.